And we're looking at that in that way. We were going back to see that it says here, if she departs, it's talking about she. If she departs, and to be reconciled only to her husband, and let not the husband put his wife away at all. You know, for some reason, the wife departs the husband. They say, let her not marry, let her remain unmarried, and then be reconciled back to her husband. And then don't let the husband put his wife away ever. Don't let that be the thought of a husband to put his wife away. You know, the Bible tells us in Matthew 19, as we had gone on before, except it be for fornication. You know, except it be that covenant is annulled based upon fornication. There should be always this thing of reconciliation, of being reconciled, coming back together, a getting one to talk to the other, whether it be with a mediator, a counselor, you know, however that works. Somebody to come in and speak to, you know, not take sides. Because, you know, a lot of these places, you go in, they take one side or the other, you know, and they listen. I'm going to take your side against this person, you know, against the man, or your side against the woman. No, it's supposed to be a thing, whoever the mediator is, it's supposed to always remain neutral. Look at the facts and try and get them to a place where there's reconciliation, where they go down that path of repairing. That's what reconciliation is. It is repairing. It is taking that breach where it's been broken and repair it, put it back, get it back together. So that's what they're looking for. So based upon the reconciliation, you know, let it be that there be reconciliation, not departure. And then the husband, don't you even think about putting your wife away at all. You know, you should be there, and you should always know the thing that you're looking for is to make sure that you love your wife as Christ so loved the church. And you're supposed to stay in that covenant, maintain covenant. Again, except it be for that purpose. But that doesn't give you an out, because you still can forgive. That's just a thing that says if that annulment is there, that's grounds. Doesn't mean that that's purpose. See, it doesn't have to be. It could be that that's grounds, but there can still be reconciliation. There can still be a coming together. There can still be a forgiveness, a restoration, to where that's not brought forth. We dealt with Hosea a couple of weeks ago about him marrying Gomer, and how 3 times she went and played the harlot, and each time he brought her back. But then after he brought her back the last time, and she went out and played the harlot, she got herself hooked up. And when she got hooked up, he had to actually go pay for her to come back. And he paid the price of ransom to bring her back. And she stayed for a while, but then she still went back because that was her heart. And this time he didn't go and get her. He let her go. You know? So that's what we're looking at there. That's a grounds, but it's not a reason. See, we don't want to use it as a reason and let that be, oh, fly off, gone. You know, we want it to be the fact that still restoration can take place if necessary. You know, if the parties are willing to reconcile, if forgiveness is in order, and that restoration can be brought forth, then that's what we want. We want to bring forth that restoration. We want that to happen. Now, I didn't do the quiz at this time because I was waiting on everybody else to come, but I'm going to end up doing it next week. The quiz, we're going to end up going over it next week because everybody wasn't here at the time. I was going to go over it, but I saw the amount, so I said I'll wait. You know, I'm going to give everybody the quiz when they come in for the next month, but we're going to go over the one for this month next week. And hopefully everybody be back on track by that time. Because I know we get away for a little while, and you know, we tend to get a little rusty. I won't call it lazy, it's just rusty. And, so I'll wait till we get back on track hopefully next week, and then we can go over that one, the answers to that one. And I'm going to give you this one this week by the end of the service tonight. We'll do that. So that's verse 11. Now he starts at verse 12. He said, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If a brother has a wife that believes not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. Now let's understand this, because this is not talking about entering into a marriage with an unbelieving wife. Because the Bible warns you about being unequally yoked together with unbelievers. That is a definite problem. You have to be careful and cognizant of that. If I'm a believer, I don't care how fine she is, how beautiful she is, I'm going to be putting myself in detriment because I cannot guarantee the fact she's going to become a Christian. So I could be putting myself out there. So the Bible warns against that. Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. So this is not what he's talking about. What he's talking about a situation where you got two people and they're not believers, and one becomes a believer. This is what this situation is. If one becomes a believer, they tell the other one, don't put them away. They tell the other one, don't put them away. Because this was a practice. This is what was going on. That I'm not a believer. My wife wasn't a believer. We get married. All of a sudden, I become a believer. So the standard practice was, if she didn't give her life to Christ, immediately I put her away. That was wrong. Or if the wife became saved, then she would seek to put her husband away because he's not saved. So Paul is telling you, he's speaking. He said, this is not commandment of God. He's just laying out, having the Spirit of God, that was not right. That because you have one, after you both were unsaved and you entered into this relationship, and now one becomes saved, doesn't give you the right to put the other one away. Not if you're a Christian. Your job is now to work with them. But this was not the situation of saying one entered into marriage and knowing that your wife or your husband is not saved. That's unequally yoked together with the unbeliever. That's a totally different thing. You know coming in. But if both of us are unsaved and now one becomes saved after we are married, now the one that's saved is not to seek to put the one that's unsaved away. This is what Paul is addressing, because there was a prominent problem within the church, that they would give their life to Christ, and if the other one didn't, they would put them away. Look at what he said in verse 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. What is that? What is that? The unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. So we're saying the husband is not a believer, but the wife is. She's become a believer, the husband isn't. Now we're saying that the husband is sanctified by the wife. What are we saying? If he dies, is he going to hell?
I could be wrong, but what I'm thinking it is like, if, let's say, like, for example, if I'm saved and Edward is not saved, then more or less, I know he's supposed to be covering, but I'm covering him, and I'm praying for him, and I'm witnessing and everything, and I'm trying to get him to receive Christ for himself.
Absolutely.
It's not saying that I can keep him from going to hell now.
But see, that's what some people preach. That's